It's a brand new year and I got a brand new video, something you guys have been waiting to see. Direct back-to-back dyno results between 034 Motorsport and Jackal Motorsports with their dual pulley test pipe files. So if this is something you want to know about, stick around. Happy New Year's, everybody. This is Cameron, and as always, this is Audi C7 owners, and I figured I'd start the year off with a very anticipated video. This is going to be the results of my dyno testing between 034 Motorsport and Jackal Motorsports for their dual pulley files. This is both the ECU and TCU files of each company being compared back to back on the same dyno in the same day within the same hour, same temperature, same everything. The best comparison that I can possibly give you guys. Before we get into the results, and I promise this won't be a terribly long video, so stick with me, but before we get into the results, a little bit of background on what brought me here to the dyno testing. I'm gonna go over my current mods on the vehicle so that if you're new to the channel or just don't know, you'll be fully aware, and then we'll talk about how I had the tunes flashed, adapted, and then ran on the dyno. So first, what brought me to this? I scheduled this dyno session about a week ago, or not even that, like maybe 6 days ago, because next week, almost a week from today, Jose from Merc Racing will be bringing his supercharger to my house, and we are going to be filming a lot of stuff about it as well as the install on my car. From then on, we're going to be working extremely closely with 034 to dial it in for my car and work with the ZF8 platform, because I'm not sure if they've done any testing on the ZF8 platform with this supercharger. So this will be good for obviously C7, A6, A7 cars as well as B8 SQ5 cars with the ZF8 transmission. Obviously, once I get the supercharger on the car, I won't be running the OEM supercharger for quite some time. And when I made the social media post I was going to be doing the dyno testing, Matt from Jackal Motorsport reached out and he said, hey, can you dyno our tune back to back with 034 to get a comparison? People have been asking for it. We want to know. The community wants to know. We will pay for it. And I'm not going to say no to that. That's a great offer for them to offer to pay for that. And I think it is something that everybody has wanted to see. Each set of dyno pulls, 3 pulls, was $250. So I paid $250 for the 034 pulls, and Jackal paid $250 for the Jackal pulls, obviously. But yeah, going forward, starting next Friday, I'm going to be on 034 tuning and on the Merc Racing supercharger for a long time. So this is my only opportunity to get this comparison done. My mods. Right here, I'll try and list them out for you. Current modifications on the vehicle. Intake is my 4-inch custom intake that I got a video on. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Obviously, we're running the ECU and TCU files from 034 Motorsport and Jackal respectively for the tunes. Stock high pressure fuel pump, stock throttle body, and stock supercharger. No porting or anything like that done. I've got the BRK or BKR 90iX NGK spark plugs, and they're gapped to 0.026, which is pretty standard for dual pulley cars. I've got the relocated PCV system. I've got the Merc Racing 4.0T heat exchanger, the largest one he makes. It is divorced on the supercharger coolant loop with an 80-20 mix of distilled water to coolant. Since it is winter, I got a little bit of antifreeze in there. And I've got a CWA 150 coolant pump. My coil packs and plugs are all less than 10,000 miles old. They're all very, very new. And beyond that, I don't have any other performance mods except for my gutted cats, if you want to call that a performance mod, and then my Franken exhaust. But we know exhausts don't really do too much in terms of power on these vehicles, but just so you guys are fully aware. Fueling, 93 pump fuel from Costco, topped up with 2 gallons of E85. And that 2 gallons of E85 is simply to combat the poor winter fuel blends that we tend to see these days, and just control the knock in doing all these pulls. So yeah, that's it for mods. Going into how this is all set up, like what did I do to prepare for going to the dyno? I topped off my oil, and then the night before I left, I was on a Jackal file. I uploaded the 034 Motorsport file the night before I left, and I went out and I did a 1st through 3rd gear pull. That's my way of trying to adapt the file. And then the next morning I got up, I took my son to school. I went from there and took my dog to the vet, and then I came home. Actually, I'm sorry, when I left the vet, that's when I added the 2 gallons of E85 to the car. Then I topped it off at Costco with 93. Then I came home, and then I turned around and drove to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina to Let's Go Automotive and Performance. And that's about an hour and a half away from my house. So I got that hour and a half drive with 034, and I just kind of cruised. My IAT is on the way down there, about 18 degrees Celsius. Reaching the shop, the ambient air temperature was 50 degrees Fahrenheit, a little bit cooler inside the shop. I'd guess around 45 to 50 degrees, nice and cool in there. And as soon as I pulled up, it was only about 5 minutes until they pulled the car into the rollers and got it strapped down, and we started. When it was time to go to Jackal, what we did after we completed the 034 Motorsport pulls, we shut it down, we let the fan blow on it, we let it sit for about a half hour to cool down as much as we could without just having my car sit there all day long. And while it was cooling down, I uploaded the Jackal file. Both ECU and TCU. And then speaking with Jackal, I said, what do I need to do to adapt this to make sure these are accurate for the dyno pulls? And they said, do a first through third gear pull on the dyno, and then after that, you're good to go. So that's what we did. First through third gear run on the dyno, shut it down, and for every single dyno pull, I brought my IATs down as close as possible to the starting one. The only one that was a little bit lower than the rest was the first pull of the day. My IAT started off at 36 degrees Celsius. Every other one was between 40 to 45 degrees Celsius, usually more around 45, and they didn't go over 62 degrees Celsius. So cooling mods from Merc Racing with the fan blowing on it was working really great that day. Let's go into the results, and then I'm going to talk about why I think it happened, or just give you my thoughts in general over everything. So yeah, drum roll please. We are going to start with the 034 file. Peak horsepower on the second dyno pull was 416 all-wheel horsepower and 398 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels. 397.7, but I'm rounding up, which is actually what I pretty much thought my car was going to be at. I guess my car was going to be anywhere from 410 to 420, and so I was very, very happy with that. That put it right where I want. My car's got 160,000 miles on it, and I have pretty much abused it for 110,000 miles, so I'm really, really, really happy with that. And the max speed on that run was 119.5 miles an hour. Now, here's the chart. I'm going to put up this full chart here and some things to look at. The run file 1, the actual second run that we did, shows 420 horsepower. That's because we accidentally triggered the kick down, so it went from 4th gear to 3rd gear. And if I didn't say it, we did all the pulls in 4th gear except for one, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, we hit the kick down just a little too early and it kicked down to 3rd, so we scratched that one. That was the second pull, 420 horsepower and 454 foot-pounds of torque, so scratch that one. The last pull with 034, the car was already pretty warm at this point, obviously, but you see the one that shows 404 horsepower and 414 foot-pounds of torque. That was done in 5th gear, and if you notice the max speed on that one, 154 miles an hour. We decided at the suggestion of someone else to just go ahead and give it a try, and lost power, but yeah, car was already warm anyways. We got our peak horsepower out of that second legitimate dyno pull. So yeah, 416 and 398. Moving on to Jackal. Jackal Motorsport, their second run of the dyno pull, and this is obviously first to 3rd gear adaptation, then a dyno pull, and then this was a second dyno pull, and typically you see your better numbers on the second one. 428 wheel horsepower and 409.5 foot-pounds of torque to the wheels, and max speed of 117 miles an hour. So in this particular case, with my experience on my car, Jackal edged out 034 in the long run, or in the dyno testing. And yeah, to be honest, I think that 034 had a very, very, very marginally slight advantage, being that the car was not warmed up. It was just, you know, your typical engine temperature from driving. And I mean, it was a solid hour and a half of highway driving at 70 miles an hour. So everything was nice and just properly warmed up. So they had that. On top of that, they had the advantage of having the car be able to adapt their file a little bit longer. this is just me pulling strings, so to speak, trying to think of things for you guys to be aware of. Because when I did the Jackal pull, it was on the roller sitting there for 30 minutes to cool down, but it still had to go on after doing 3 pulls with 034, including one that was a 5th gear pull up to 155 miles an hour. So the car was definitely hotter for the Jackal pulls, even if we did get the ITs back down to the same temperature. So I think there was a slight advantage for 034's pulls compared to the Jackal ones, and also given that we only did the 1st through 3rd gear pull for the adaptation, and then we jumped right back into it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, even though Jackal edged out 034 on the peak horsepower here, is how the power works and how it translates into performance on the street. What I don't have on these charts yet, but I will, and they will be posted to my Instagram, and I will be posting them in the Facebook group, so just give me a second and wait on that. But I don't have the chart that has both of their runs on the same chart to see the difference in when the power comes on. I'm going to reach back out to the Dyno shop on Monday, and I'm gonna ask them if they can get that for me so I can bring that to you guys. But both tunes on my car, quarter mile time is almost negligible. The Jackal ran an 11.64, and then 034 ran an 11.68, if I'm not mistaken. I should have the draggy times up here if you want to pause and look at those. But yeah, that's it for this video. Please let me know what you think in the comments. I feel like this is gonna be controversial. We're gonna have a lot of interesting discussion of this on the comments here and probably in the Facebook groups. But a huge thanks to 034 and Jackal Motorsports for both agreeing to be a part of this video series. This is the first of the tune comparison video series. I'm glad I got to do this. This was a huge opportunity. I don't think anybody else has been able to do this, but I will have dedicated review videos on each tune, and that's the ones where I'm going to go in depth on, price, what you get for the money, what you get with the tuning suite, all that. That is coming very, very soon. I know you guys have been waiting for that, but I wanted to get these numbers out first so I could include those on those videos. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. If you found this helpful or interesting, please like and subscribe to the channel, because that helps me be able to continue to bring you guys content like this, and look forward to new videos on the Merc Racing Supercharger coming out within the next few weeks. I'm so excited about that. As always, thank you guys so much. Happy New Year. We're off to a great start. My goal for the year is to get into the 10s and to become the fastest C7 A6 on the Draggy leaderboards. We'll see how that works out. See you guys on the next video.